strict physical infrastructure.
One, of course, is the physical infrastructure. That's something that is something we really will have to do because that's a requirement in our country.
Digital infrastructure.
And the other is the digital infrastructure.
I
think there's no point in saying that, first I'll do this and then I'll do the next thing and then I'll do the next thing. We'll waste a lot of time in doing that. We need to approach and tackle all of these simultaneously. My conviction really is that now in the 21st century, we see that the importance that highways have had is, the same kind of importance is going to be that for highways. In India, we have 600,000 villages. That's such a huge number that people just get scared listening to that number. And we have about 250 local governments, local bodies.
In next 5 years,
and what I hope is that in the next 5 years, we will be able to link all these villages through a optical fiber network. All those of you who are familiar with India, and in fact, if you look all over the world, you'll see that civilizations have generally tended to develop, and they've settled along rivers. We've had cities coming up along rivers, but times have changed now. Cities then shifted to highways. And I think in the future, we will find that cities are going to be situated along networks of optical fibers. And that's something that we need to keep in mind. We need to keep this in mind for the future. So in our system of governance, we are placing a lot of priority on technology.
Effective governance karna hai.
It's important for us to have effective governance, to have easy governance, and economic governance. And I think for all these things, technology is very important. So it's a compulsion for me and for my government that we have a proper digital infrastructure. And as far as the funding is concerned, I don't think there is really any lack of funds, of capital in the world. There are many countries who don't even know where to invest their money. So I'm giving them the address. Here's the place.
All right. Our next question is from T.S. Khurana, who actually works here at Facebook. So T.S., where are you from?
Well, I was born in India, but we immigrated to the U.S. in 1971, and I learned my English on the streets of Kentucky. Prime Minister, welcome to campus, and Mark, thank you for hosting us on this fine early Sunday morning. My question for the Prime Minister is, do you think it's become easier in the last 15 months to do business in India or not? You introduced a program called Make in India to cut red tape, but there is a perception that the pace of reform is slow. Do you think that Make in India will ultimately be successful?
देखिए एक स्कूटर जब टर्न करना होता है.
Look, if you want to turn a scooter,
it takes half a second.
It takes half a second.
पता चला हाँ यार स्कूटर ऐसे जा रहा था.
Yeah, but you see, okay, the scooter was going straight and suddenly turned, to the right. But if it hasn't turned yet,
इतना बड़ा देश.
So when you have such a big country,
आपको एक बदलाव,
and you want to bring about change,
बहुत सारे होते हैं,
and there are many things that need to be changed, and when you have changes that are taking place, eventually you have a cumulative effect that takes place after some time, and then you feel, yes, there's been a change. But
40 साल पहले
Now, when you look at India 40 years ago,
राष्ट्रीयकरण हुआ,
you had the
इस मकसद से हुआ
nationalization of banks,
कि बैंक
and this happened because banks should work for the poor, or the poor should be able to use them. But in the last 40 years,
population
60% of our population didn't even have a bank account.
अब काम हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा, उसका हिसाब कैसे लगा?
So how do you really keep track of what is happening and what is not happening?
180 million लोग
In 40 years, you've had 180 million people who didn't have a bank account. And
100 days,
my government came to powers, and in 100 days, and seriously, in 100 days,
80 million
180 million bank accounts were opened.
अब आप स्पीड देखो,
Now,
स्केल देखो,
look at the speed, look at the scale,
हो गया भाई।
and just say, how on earth did that happen? How did something that didn't happen in 40 years happen in 100 days? Now, that, I think, is the speed of change.
जिस प्रकार से अभी मैंने एक अभियान चलाया और वर्ल्ड
In the same way, I've just recently started a program. The program is called the Ease of Doing Business, and it's something where we're working together with the World Bank.
140 नंबर पे खड़ा।
So on the ease of doing business scale, India is at rank 140 in the world.
नहीं सोचेगा।
And naturally, people are really going to think that why should we come to India?
तो कागज लेके बैठता है वो कोई देखने
Because,
फेसबुक
you know, like unlike Facebook, you know, people aren't going to go to the temple and get inspiration from there. I mean, they're going to look at the papers and say, why should we come to India?
अब ये आज मार्क की बात सुनकर के लोग सोचते
So maybe listening to Mark today, people might say, forget about the paperwork, let's first go to a temple. But
हमने तय किया कि हमें ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस।
we said we want to introduce ease of doing business, and I've taken all the states on board. We're a federal government, and in fact the states are very powerful. We call them in, we ask them what are the problems to ease of doing business. We made a list, and in fact the World Bank just did a ranking, and I was surprised. I was astonished, in fact, that suddenly among our states we have an unprecedented competition taking place. Each state is trying to outdo the other on the ease of doing business scale, and we've had unprecedented achievements in the last 6 months. And this is something we've just managed to do. And I think that the next time this ease of business rating is carried out, I'm pretty sure that we're going to move very high up in the rankings. And so that's one thing. Now the second thing is, what is the secret to make in India, to its success? No, nobody in the world will want to close down their own company. Everybody wants to succeed in a competitive world. Now, we are here at the Facebook headquarters, but supposing you would have to pay, if you have much less of an investment, if you have to just give 1 million in India and you have to give 10 million here, I mean, will people come to India or won't they come here?
तो low cost manufacturing,
So the low-cost manufacturing that we can offer, effective governance, skill, manpower, raw materials,
and the biggest market in India.
and the biggest market in India.
ये सारी संभावनाएं ऐसी।
So these are what we have. This is the potential that we have. And I don't think that this is something anybody can ignore. I think this is frankly a paradise for any manufacturer anywhere in the world. So I think there's a huge potential, and people can be successful. You would have noticed that in the last 15 months, we've had foreign direct investment from the United States growing by 87%.
FII में
Among the foreign institutional investors, we've had a very rapid growth,
और एवरेज हमारे
and the
फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट का
average of FDI is about 40%. And currently, given the world's recession,
माइनस है।
and most of the world has minus 16%, and we here are plus 40%, and I think that itself is very indicative of how successful India has been.
मेक इन इंडिया सफल होगा।
And I certainly believe that Make in India is going to be successful.